This is your boy EB.
Your boy Anthony, you already know what it is.
Success After Lockdown. You know how we do.
We back at it again.
Okay, and now we back at it again.
Where at?
In Florida, baby.
Sunshine State.
The Sunshine State. Look.
That's right.
Blue state. No, it's a red state.
Yeah. It is a red state.
I messed that up.
Yeah, that's a red state. Yeah,
you're it's a red state, but you know they got that baby blue Florida.
We're back at it again, man. My brothers are down here, man. Like, this had to stop, and we're gonna continue. We're gonna keep doing what we're doing. And to reach the broader audience out there and show the world, man, that brothers and sisters that are formerly incarcerated are coming home and actually doing some things with their lives and changing the dynamics around, right?
That's right.
And changing the stigma that, you know what I mean, because we committed a crime in our past that have to dictate our future and how we move forward.
That's right. So this is actually our first season out of New York. We in Florida, baby.
Sunshine
no question.
State, baby.
And we're going to bring to our audience, our family, our followers, we're going to bring those men and women that's formerly incarcerated, that's out here, that's giving back to their community in a positive way. We bringing those interviews to y'all, man. I think y'all going to love this one.
Welcome to another episode over here, Success After Lockdown, down here in Florida edition. It's my boy Anthony, my boy Eric, EB in the building.
Peace and blessings, man. We in the building, Florida, from BX to Florida.
You already know. You already know we up in the building. Man, just want to shout out to everybody, man, who's been following us since day one, season 1, season 2. We back at it with season 3, showing the success of men and women who are formerly incarcerated. Today's guest, we have an amazing gentleman, Mr. Pastor Mays. Let's give it up for Mr. Pastor Mays.
Absolutely.
Yes, you heard me correct, Pastor Mays. Don't get it confused. Lives are changing every day. We take control of our own destiny.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to this episode today because, you know, like I said, you didn't hear it wrong. He is the Pastor Mays, but he has his own story, where he's been to, what he's been through, and where he's at in his life today. And with that being said, I want to give you Cedric, Pastor Mays. Thank you for coming on the show.
Appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, my brothers.
Yeah. You want to introduce yourself to everybody out there?
I'm Pastor C.W. Mays. I'm the senior pastor of the New Faith Christian Fellowship in the great city of West Palm Beach. I'm also the CEO of CWM Consultant Services and CWM Transitional Independent Living. I'm also the CEO of the New Recovery in Motion, Intonations, The Sounds of Motown, and more. We have just recently released 7 CDs. So I wear a lot of hats.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's why you are on this show as a success.
Absolutely. And we definitely look to unpack a lot of that, a lot of what you've been through in life. I just want to thank you first and foremost for being here with us and for being able to, just express and share your life story. My name is Eric. I grew up in the Bronx. Just a little bit about myself to you. And I made a split-second decision in my past that cost me 27 years and 6 months of my life incarcerated. I've been home for 3 years now, and this platform was created for men and women like you and I that might have made those wrong decisions in our youth and actually grew and developed to being the person that you are today.
Amen.
Being the pastor that you are today. If we could, can we just start with, your youth, Pastor Mays, where'd you grow up? Two-parent home, one parent, and how was life for you as a youth?
I tell this story a lot, probably almost 6 or 7 days a week because I've been a therapist now here in Palm Beach County for the last 29 years. But I was born in Lake Worth.
Okay, there you go, brother.
I didn't. I tell clients all the time, be careful of bringing children into the world, because you'll bring children into a world in something they did not sign up for. They float around in a mother's jacuzzi for 9 months, not knowing what they're getting ready to come into. We've gotten this thing twisted where when babies come in the world, we give them baby showers. When people die, we cry. That thing is backwards. We ought to cry when they come into the world and then celebrate them when they leave it. I came into this world, and my mother was married. She a single family. I have 2 sisters on my mom's side, 4 on my dad's side. And I was raised in a very spiritual home. There was no way on God's green earth I should have made that bad left turn. But it happens to the best of us. And I matriculated through school. My dream at 11 years old was to go to the NBA. I was a baller.
You baller,
I was a baller.
huh?
Mean 3-pointer.
Yeah.
But my other dream was to be a journalist. I wanted one day for you all to see me on CNN, MSNBC, with breaking news from the White House.
Yeah.
I've always had a gift for gab. That's why God took me from DJing to the pulpit. Just switched microphones. But my childhood was amazing. I graduated from high school. I went to the great Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach. And Mr. Cologne, I remember it like it happened this morning, where my abandonment issues from 6 months old through the duration of my childhood, I remember those cars pulling out of the parking lot. And when they got out of sight and I couldn't see them no more, my abandonment kicked right in. My roommate, who later became one of my deacons, he walked in the dormitory room with an ounce of weed, and I'm finna mess some of y'all up right here, and a 6-pack of Schlitz malt liquor. We call it the Bull. I just lost every millennium right there. And it wasn't hard for me to start smoking weed and drinking, because I didn't like that feeling when they pull out of that parking lot. And I finished college, and I went on a 10-year run of escaping my truth.
Absolutely.
Those 10 years cost me 17 stab wounds. Been shot at 4 times. Accumulated 27 felonies. My first 25 felonies were slap on the wrist, 3 hots in the cot, gain a couple pounds, get out and do the same thing. And it wasn't until felony number 26 where I got introduced to my first time going to prison. I was at the Henry Correctional Institution in Immokalee, Florida, and most of you all remember the riot that took place at Henry Correctional. It was worldwide on the news, and I was right in the midst of that, and I survived it only by the grace of God.
That's right.
I only had to go to prison for 2 years, and but life had not caught up with me. I've been a DJ ever since my 20s, and I just thought that's what young men do. You know, pour an ounce of weed on the back table in the back of the club with the hen and the tequila, and a line of coke, you know, girls everywhere. And I got right out of prison. My homeboy, met me at the bus station. Back then, they gave you $100 and a bus ticket. And he met me at the bus station. And after seeing 4 people get killed in my first 3 months in prison, it should have scared the bejesus out of me. But that wasn't enough. You know, I mean, in my first 3 months on the compound, I was on the compound 4 days, and I saw my first murder in prison.
Yeah.
I didn't believe that stuff. I saw it on TV. I read it in books. My homeboys told me about it, but I didn't believe none of that stuff until I got there.
You actually did.
And I tell my clients all the time, there's 3 major holidays in prison: Chicken Day, Mail Call Out Day,
chicken on the ball,
and Shipment Day. And they're like 3 federal holidays, and it was Chicken Day that day. And I remember standing in line, and this guy was standing in front of me, and this guy came in the cafeteria with a shank about this long. And he walked up to that guy, man, and he pulled it out the side of his pants, and he stuck it in his back and pulled it out his stomach. And that guy died right there in front of me.
Yeah.
Scared the living crap out of me. 2 days later, I went to the infirmary with a headache to get a Tylenol. And the guy that was standing in front of me, dude kicked the door in, grabbed him around the neck. I'm thinking he's just gonna choke the guy out. And he loosed his hand real fast, had a blade taped in the middle of his hand, sliced his throat. A week later, it was a basketball tournament and a weightlifting competition on the compound. And I'm out there trying to relive my post-NBA dreams. I'm balling, and I hear this commotion over there on the rec pile. And I run over there to the weightlifting bench, and this guy winning the competition at about 390. And in prison, you do 10 reps, and you got to hold it for 15 seconds. And this Puerto Rican guy went and grabbed a 75-pound dumbbell and crashed him right on top of his head. He dropped 390 pounds of weight right on his neck. He had a cracked skull, dead instantly. About 2 weeks later, they made an announcement on the compound, all inmates report to the auditorium. It was going to be a free concert. I didn't care if it was Garth Brooks. A concert in prison? Oh, I'm out. I run to the dormitory. I jump in the shower. And in prison, there's no shower curtains, no shower walls, no dividers. There's 50 spigots on this wall, 50 on this wall, and you may have a dude to the left or the right. The motto in prison is don't drop the soap.
Yep.
And about 15 spigots to my left was this innocent little white dude. He probably weighed about 110 pounds soaking wet. 7 guys ran in the shower, and they duct taped his mouth. And they duct taped his hands. And all 7 of them, I mean, y'all can finish that sentence.
Yeah. Oh.
I ran out of the shower, called home for the first time. That guy was laying there in the shower on the floor with the water still running on him. Died from internal hemorrhaging. And the officer that was on duty had the unmitigated gall to turn his head because he got paid under the table. I got out of prison probably about 6 months later, and my homeboy met me at the bus station. He fronted me 5 ounces, 2.5 ounces of coke, 2.5 ounces of heroin. He said, bro, get on your feet, pay me whenever. After that experience, you would have thought that I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Absolutely.
But I was so accustomed to that lifestyle that let me just go and do what I do.
Yeah.
And this time was the time that broke me. 11 months after being out of prison, I get busted for the 27th time. Half a kilo of coke, half a kilo of heroin, and 10 pounds of weed. And the judge that was my judge for all of my felony convictions told me if I came back in front of him for a traffic ticket, he was going to make an example of me. And I come back in front of him, and he sentenced me to 30 years in prison. I tell young people all the time, every time you go to jail, you build up a point system. And when I went to prison for them 2 years, I already scored out 10 to 15 then. But the judge was leaning on it. It was my first time going to prison. He only gave me 2 years. But then I had the kahunas to come back in front of that man 11 months later. And he told me, if you come back in front of me, I'm going to make an example out of you. And when he sentenced me to those 30 years, I looked around like, who is he talking to? I didn't murder nobody. I didn't shoot at no police officer. I didn't break in a bank. Why is you giving me this much time? And they took me back to the county, and a week later they shipped me out to prison to start that 30-year sentence.
If I could for a second,
Yes.
Pastor, like those, to me, that, you know, what you just explained, you know, all I could think about is those, you know, different, because we got different categories of trauma. And everything you just explained was those traumatizing moments that we don't even identify being young, you know, being unconscious of things. We don't identify those traumas that we go through. And so, you know, there do come in that time. There does come that time when, you know, those moments when we actually sit back and, like you said, you know, you coming back in front of that judge after 11 months and receiving that time. If you could just speak on just that, like you said, that 30 years. If you can expound more on that for our viewers, our followers, our family.
It was very traumatic at that time. I didn't know until years later how deep my trauma was. I grew up in a very, very long lineage of pastors. I tried to break the mold. I'm gonna be a DJ. I'm gonna be DJ Khaled.
Yeah.
You know, I am not finna, preaching. Oh no, we're not finna do that. And it wasn't until I really turned my life around when I started, especially when I started being a therapist, that I understood how traumatic that was, because I have an uncle that's in prison right now. This January will be 51 calendar years. I'm gonna set that one right there. 51 calendar years, and every time I talk to him, you would think this brother is getting out tomorrow, because he's so positive. And when I got that sentence, I went back to the holding cell and I asked myself this one question: how did my life turn out like this? And I remember getting off the bus at prison, and Sergeant J.B. Mullins, I can see him on the YouTube screen of my eyelids, yelling with that tobacco coming out of his mouth. And the last thing I wanted to hear was somebody yelling at me with a 30-year prison sentence. And 4 months into that sentence, I couldn't take it no more. I'm 20-some years old. This is a life sentence, you know, and I tied my sheets to that top bunk, and I slipped them around my neck and got them as tight as I possibly can, because I just knew my life was over. And I laid there with those sheets on my neck. And all I can see on the YouTube screen of my eyelids was my grandmother and my grandfather saying, "Don't do that, you're going to hell." And I couldn't do it. I mean, I literally, the only thing I had to do was roll to the left. And when everybody came back in the dormitory, they would have saw me there hanging. But I couldn't do it. I jumped off that top bunk and I put my tennis shoes on and I went out on the rec yard and I said, "I got to man up and do this time." But thanks be unto God. The Florida Statute 65-97432 CFA is the reason I'm sitting here live and in living color. Because that statute, which they've changed since then, stated if a police officer comes in an occupied dwelling looking for a specific person under a specific warrant, they cannot touch anybody else in that occupied dwelling. I was in the hotel room getting ready to bag up all this dope, and they kicked the door in looking for my best friend on a violation of probation warrant. They had no business touching me. And when I tell you, that one there scared me enough that I turned my life around.
Wow. But I'm a little mind blown right now. Like, wow. I want to reel it back for 1 second.
Go ahead.
Because I'm listening to you, came from a good family, you went to school, you had these aspirations and dreams to be, a ball player, DJ, and so you had some good positive dreams. At what point in your life through that transition of going through school, having a good family on your behind, telling you, stay straight, do this, we believe in you, that you say, you know what, even though I got the education, I got the family, I got the background, I really have no reason to go left. What was that breaking point that you said, you know what, forget all this, let me go into this here, the drugs and the alcohol and the party and like.
Good question, because we teach people in the therapeutic and the clinical world that two of my favorite words is identify and connect. I need to identify what's the problem, and I need to connect the emotional attachment so I can come up with the root of the problem. So one of my favorite quotes, I'm a quote guy, if you keep chopping down branches, you'll never deal with the root. And every time we get high and we get drunk, we just chopping down another branch. That's going to grow back. Let's get to the root and find out where did all of this come from. To answer your question, there was not a strategic or a specific time where I decided to make that choice. It's called life. Life just happens. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I think this is going to be a great day to start screwing up my life.
That part.
Nobody does that.
That's right.
This thing called life throws you some curveballs, some sinkers, some fastballs, some sliders. And if you don't make the adjustment, you find yourself in situations that's not conducive to where you're trying to go. None of us, watch this. I told a session this morning, how many of us went to second grade and the teacher said, well, Mr. Cologne, I'm going to be your teacher for the year. And we're going to have a ball. But I want to ask you a question. What do you want to be when you grow up? And you raise your hand and says, I'm going to be an ex-convict.
Yeah.
It don't happen like that.
Facts.
Life shows up and we don't make the necessary adjustment. Either we got people around us that was supposed to shelter us from that, or we got to a certain age and we start making bad choices.
That's right.
And we did a survey at all of the prisons here in Florida about 10 years ago. This is going to blow your mind. 82% of all inmates said they were in prison for doing something stupid. That's a high percentage of ignorance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only 18% of people was in prison for something they actually did.
Right.
And they know they did it. But 82% of the inmates in all prisons in Florida were in prison because they did something stupid. So, to put a lid on that question, it was not a certain time frame. It just happened. And someone asked me about a month ago, well, why did it happen? You was in the DARE program, Drug Awareness and Resistant Education. Just say no to drugs. You was in the McGruff program, anti-nicotine. I thought people that smoked cigarettes had bad breath. I thought people that did drugs was homeless. And I became everything that I was totally against because life showed up. And I didn't make the adjustment.
Life experiences. And so when I look at, you said you received in that time, and that just, I have flashbacks every time I was 20 years old and was given 25 years to life. I thought that I was never coming home again. It was over for me. Life was over at that point. So when I hear that, could you speak about and elaborate on that turnaround that happened for you, and where your mindset was going after that turnaround?
When I came back on the appeal on 11 months and 6 days, and the judge, I won the appeal. I was able to give him 29 years and 24 days back. And the judge at that time told me, he said, this is your second chance at redemption. He said, but I'm not going to let you go scot-free. I'm going to give you an alternative sentence. I want you to go and get some help. And he sent me to treatment. I didn't go to treatment to get sober. I went to treatment to stop going to jail.
Right.
I figured if I sit in jail long enough, I'll figure out a master plan how to not ever go back to jail again. But I tell people all the time, recovery is not to be taught. Recovery is to be caught. And while I was sitting in treatment for them 120 days, I caught this thing. And it started making sense to me. This was not how my life was supposed to go. And I made the adjustment. Was it easy? No. Man, I wanted to go get me a half a kilo of coke and me a couple pounds of weed and flip and get me some money.
Yeah.
Because I know how to do that.
Yeah.
But this being successful and living by principles, not personalities, living by God's will and not my will, this was foreign language to me. Although it was already in my DNA, I just had to go in there and activate it.
Absolutely. I always say living by the right value principles, because we always had, those that what I call distorted value system that we lived by.
Yes.
That was something that pushed
Yes.
us to that cope, to going and getting that money that way. And so that's definitely a blessing in disguise,
And I'm still captivated, right? Because the way that you worded, right, and you answered one of our questions before we even asked the questions. Those worst
That's right.
experiences in prison, and we like to ask those questions, right? Because a lot of people are so falsely delusional, and think that prison is always it's fun and games, right? They see the pictures that we send from inside prison. We cool. We got the little crew. But they don't see what really goes on behind closed doors, right? They don't understand and see the battle wounds that you have to either give or receive while in that. And I tell people all the time, I've been there, done that, right? 22 and a half years in some of the worst prisons in the country. And I'm talking about New York, Pennsylvania, Atlanta, Florida, state and federal, right? I've seen some things.
Right.
And and nothing is cool about it, and nothing was survival. It was survival, right? But when you was talking about that kid with the duct tape,
Yes.
it brought me back to when I was in New York State. They had just opened up this new correctional facility called 5 Points in New York State. They had designed it to be the SHU, solitary confinement. 1,450 inmates that have supposed to go in there to shut down the S blocks and all the medium correctional facility for solitary confinement. And at the last minute, they realized they didn't have the population to fill it. So they said, okay, we're going to rewrite the whole system. All right, what we're going to open it up to population.
Yeah.
And they did that. And I was part of one of the first 200 people on those bus loads going there.
Wow.
All right, and first 3 days they opened up the main yard, freaking riot. But then I got a job in the barber shop. All right, and so with this, every day I remember I used to go out and go sell checks, see who wanted a haircut and stuff. And I remember there was this Caucasian young kid, must have been like 19, 20 years old. His cellmate was like an old timer. He had, they used to refer to him as a booty bandit. Guy been down for 27 years.
Right.
And like you could hear it, you could see it in his face. And every time I go knock him, want a haircut? And he'd just be standing there, and he just had this blank look on his face. And at night, like you can hear the screams.
Wow.
The old guy used to take advantage of this guy, like just terrible. And I remember one day I come out my cell, I go to do my rounds, and I walked and I type, yo, haircut? And when I looked inside the cell, all I seen was the little white kid. The cell was double bunk, but it actually had the steps. And at this time, when they opened it up, they were supposed to do tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. If you got to tier 2, tier 3, they gave you headphones with these thick cables like this that was stretched from that wall to the end of the cell. The kid literally had wrapped it around the old man's neck and was leaning back like this, murdering the guy. Because, he caught him while he was sleeping. But that kid, come to find out later on, was in prison for 1 to 3 sentence, had did some dumb stuff, got caught with some drugs in the medium security, and got sent to the max, got taken advantage of. So his whole life was changed in the blink of an eye over a bad choice and decision, and wind up getting an additional 15 years on top of that 1 to 3 sentence. And I'm saying this to say this, that the reality of life choices that we make. I talk to a lot of these kids today, when I go up to the juvenile facility on 45th Street, and I do volunteer to talk to them, and I tell them all the time, I think this is cool, it's not cool. You know what I mean? Like, this is not what you hear on the radios with these rappers and what you see on TV. It's not your reality. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I may be rapping about selling 15 kilos and robbing 10 banks. But at the end of the day, these rappers are going home to a multi-million-dollar mansion, multi-million-dollar deal, driving Bentleys and Rolls Royces, right? While you trying to emulate this false delusion that they portray in the air, right? To make you go and do some dumb stuff. And guess what? Yahtzee, because once you make that bad choice, there ain't no coming back from it. There's very few that actually take the time and the opportunity, right, to get that wake-up call when that judge smacks that gravel, when you come to that crossroads and you say, you know what, 30 years, I'm done, I'm going to hang up. Right? This is it. You had what's called an epiphany, was spoken through your grandparents, right? And I don't think it was the fear of you going to hell. I think it was the fear of you disappointing them to say my grandchild killed himself after being in a house that was God-fearing. And that's what I think changed your decision to not roll over. And I say that you was lucky, because at that point something had clicked in you that you said, you know what, I could sit here, accept this, and try to do this 30 years and become a part of this society up in here to survive mode, right? Because now your survival has to kick in. I can't be the quiet guy. I can't just be the humble guy. I can't be the rational guy. I have to adapt to the lion's den. And to be in the Lions Den, I cannot pretend to wear, a Lions uniform and be a sheep. Right?
Nice, yep.
All right? And see where we're going with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you take the time to figure out and learn some stuff. A lot of brothers and sisters that are sitting right now in prison system have an opportunity to probably get off, right? Not to say what they did was right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is that instead of, we talk about this all the time in season 1 and 2, when does re-entry start? The prison system is so messed up and so confused that they do the re-entry on your last 90 days of coming home. That's when they sign you up. They don't actually get you in front of a classroom with other people to teach you some life skills after 10, 15, 20, 30 years. They pack you in a classroom with some guys for what, 2 weeks? And say, learn this stuff. Learn how to build some credit. Learn how to be accountable. Learn how to be responsible. Learn how to not take the drugs and alcohol. Right? This is what you have to do to survive.
And then throw you out to the world.
They throw you out to the world. Re-entry should start the minute that judge smacked that grab when you got cuffed up. That realization, let me go to the law library. Let me find out. I'm going to take accountability for what I did. But I'm not going to just sit here and lay down and accept these 30 years, these 40 years, these 50 years. But a lot of people got so caught up in living that lifestyle and saying, you know what, it's game over. So now I'm going to become the animal, the beast that they want me to become, and keep compounding more time on top of their time.
You know, it's amazing how you broke that down, because I believe, and you all can help me validate this, that re-entry starts in your mind.
Absolutely.
And
It's a fact.
I remember coming into recovery, and they said that 95% of recovery was psychological. You just got to make up in your mind that I don't like where my life is. I know where my life was. I don't like where my life is. So how do I get over here and change the narrative? You know, I am 24 days, 23 days from 33 years clean and sober.
Congratulations.
Congratulations on that. We do recover.
Yeah.
We do recover.
And here I am getting ready to celebrate another milestone, 33 years. I've been sober. I ain't never been back to prison since then.
That's right.
It's because there's a book, and I don't know how much I can go how much I can go here, but this book that I read, and some of you all read it before, it says, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind."
That's right. Amen.
That's right.
Amen.
And when your mind is transformed, your body transforms, your thoughts transforms, your vision transforms. And
Actions transform.
we got a lot of millenniums, Gen X's, Gen Z's. They have no clue of the totality of this thing called life. I told some kids this morning, I had a kid this morning, 18 years old, and I did a survey. I says, how many of y'all with what you know now would love to be 18 years? Every person in the room raised their hand. And I told this kid, I said, bro, get this right now, because it only gets worse from here. You in here for weed and alcohol. Next time you come in here, it's gonna be fentanyl and Xanax.
Yeah.
If
you make it.
if you make it,
Yep.
you know, and it's just amazing to see how people change the narrative of where their life is. Y'all think I'm settled because I'm coming up on 33 years? No. There's more.
Yeah.
And I ain't talking about no more bells, toys, and whistles. I'm talking about more compassion, more forgiveness, more humility, more love, and stuff that you can't pay for. All that stuff, and I'm glad you brought up the point about they see all of this stuff on TV, but they don't know the hell people had to go through to get to where they are.
Yeah.
In these 33 years, and Mr. Harris and Mr. Cologne, they've heard that this is new for you all. Don't fall out the chair when I share this. I've lost all 4 of my daughters sober.
Sorry to hear that too.
That's enough to make me jump out this window.
Right.
Yeah.
But I learned that getting high and getting drunk ain't gonna bring them back.
That's what
Just
I-
lost both of my parents. Here's my mom right here. Just lost both of my parents 2.5 years ago, within 365 days. And right in the middle of that, I was laying in a dark hospital room for 22 days dying from COVID. While I was in the hospital, dying from COVID, somebody was at my house robbing me. And then 2 days later, I get out, and they called me on FaceTime, told me to say goodbye to my mom. All of that in 1 week, sober. So it starts in your mind.
That's right.
It's 2 things I'm never doing again. I'm never going back to treatment, and I'm never going back to somebody's prison. Not
right.
doing that.
You know,
That's right.
I'm glad that you put it that way, right? Because I've just celebrated 10 years, and it's through the grace of God,
Yes, sir.
and no other reason.
No other reason.
Absolutely.
I've been battling my addiction my whole life, one addiction or another,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like going through this transition right now with my brother, my only brother I got left in New York. My family don't understand about setting that boundary. You know, I had made him a deal to get clean. He got clean, and he did good. I told him, I got whatever you need, I got you to help you. But then he made a conscious decision that the good life wasn't good enough, and he decided going to start drinking again. Then I had the audacity to tell me, "Oh, I'm not like you. I'm not really an addict." I said, "Let me know how that works out for you."
Mm-hmm.
Needless to say, you know, he's doing really bad, right? And my family can try to justify it, and I told them, listen, when you're in active addiction and your body chemically needs it to get up, to move and operate, that's one thing. But once you remove the chemical imbalance from your body, right, you don't have, the mental obsession is never going to go away.
Never.
I said sometimes I'll put on New Jack City and I'll see some things and my mind can go into that, right? But I don't act on it.
There you go.
Right? I can sit down and watch the movie Scarface all over again. I don't make me say, let me get in my car and go drive down to Miami.
Yeah.
Right? So I have to make a conscious decision every day. Do I love the life that I live now? And I talk about this all the time when I tell people, listen, for me, success for me, it's not the house, it's not the business, it's not the money, it's not the watch. It's for me waking up every day. I'm not dope sick.
That part.
Right?
Yes, sir.
I'm not waking up in a prison system, or prison cell, right?
That's right,
And
sir.
I'm not looking at my calendar on my phone to see when's my next freaking court date.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Everything else in my life is a product of me not making those choices to go back to that. So it's a worthy blessing for me. But I know I can lose it in a second. The
Yes,
minute
sir.
that I choose to say, you know what, God, thank you for taking me out the fire of HE hockey stick,
Yes,
right?
sir.
And giving me these things. But you know what? I'm going to give them back to you because HE hockey stick was a little better place and harder for me to go, and I like it more comfortable there, being
Yes, sir.
homeless,
Yes,
living
sir.
under the streets and struggling for $1.07 to grab in the stomach. Get me a sandwich so that way I can continue getting my run. Because I don't need a full meal. All I need is the chicken sandwich or a hamburger from McDonald's to fuel me so I can continue to keep running. I'll eat again in about a month.
Right.
Right? And it takes work. It takes work.
That's right.
Every day we're challenged with a question: whether do we want to continue to fight to do the right thing to stay clean and sober, or do we want to continue to try to fit in with the masses, right? And say, you know what? Joe Blow got a nice Bentley, and I know he ain't working 9 to 5, but I'm gonna try to get with him and go hustle. Knowing that after everything I've been through, I realized a few things. I'm a horrible drug dealer. Right? I'm a horrible addict. Right? I'm
Yes,
a
sir.
horrible addict, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm a very bad criminal,
Uh-huh.
blue collar or white collar.
Yes, sir.
I listen. I always get caught, no matter what I do.
Yeah.
That's right.
When I'm doing the right thing, I don't have to worry about getting caught.
No, sir.
None of it.
My slate
That's
is
right.
clean. Police pulls up behind me. I don't think I've been pulled over since I've been home, except for one time when I talked to the officer. He said, "Not a problem, sir. Just be mindful of your speed limit. Go on, have a nice day."
Absolutely, absolutely, and today, you know, I appreciate your testimony today, Pastor, and I wanna thank you too, just for the insight that you share, because it's inspiring for me, you know, as this person that went through life. So you know, I think we all cross paths with similarities in life, wherever we at, whether we in Florida, New York City, or Cuba, Havana, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, I always see the similarities that we have growing up, you know, and, you know, just the testimony that you shared, if you could, and if you, you know, had the chance to, you know, give a word or two or three or four to those men and women that's still in there incarcerated. You know, what would you, you know, tell them to be in
Yes,
that
please.
success story today?
One of the things that I try to display on a daily basis is I want people to come into my presence and they be impacted by not what I have, but what I give. Humility, if I was to go to the courthouse and change my middle name, I would hope it would be humility. I want to always stay humble because a lot of people have tendencies to get a little success and forget where they came from. I preached a sermon one time, and I think this is a good place to throw this in for free. I won't bill y'all for this one.
Thank you. Thank you.
It says,
That's right.
your setback is only a setup for your comeback. And I believe that sometimes God will put us in situations as a setup to set us back for a major comeback. And I don't know who's listening. I don't know who's going to view this. But if you are under the sound of my voice right now, just know that you are in a season right now that you have the opportunity to change the trajectory of where your life goes from here. But it must be orchestrated by the plan of God for your life. We say at meetings, Mr. Cologne, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is. And then we go run out the door and go smoke. And don't know what we just said. Watch this. Nobody ain't never came back and told me how Gucci heaven is.
Yeah,
I wish I had a witness here.
that's right.
It says, thy will be done on earth. And I did the genealogy, contextual contents of that text. And it let me know that God wants us to prosper right here.
Yeah, that's right.
You can have whatever you want. You can be whoever you want. You can go wherever you want. But it starts with a made-up mind. The Bible says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And when I did that series, Mr. Cologne, so many people from all over the country was able to say, thank you, I needed to hear that. Because people don't understand that everything that we go through is strategically designed for God to get glory out of it. And a lot of people don't like that because they say, how can God get glory out of me going to prison? Because you got to learn the lesson. And so many of us got PhDs in not learning the lesson. What lesson is your life is going to teach you? What lesson of your past is going to teach you? You know, going to prison, you know what it taught me? Boy, I do not like nobody telling me what to do.
So,
I do not like sleeping on not a Cadillac.
that's right. That's a fact.
Oh man, no. I like me a Tempur-Pedic.
Uh-huh.
I don't like them flat mattresses.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't like going to the chow hall. I don't like going to the infirmary. I don't like somebody on sleeping on top of me or up under me that got 2 life sentences and don't care nothing about slicing your throat. So when
No
God,
reason.
huh?
No reason at all.
For no reason,
For no reason.
just to have something to do.
Trust me.
So when I got out here, I stopped taking this thing called life for granted. Because so many people, I bury people, I marry people, I pull people out of drug houses and the bars, and I do death calls, and it's just amazing how one half a pint or 1 bag of dope is more important than living. One bad decision can cost you a life sentence. So I close with this. Do what you got to do till you're able to do what you want to do.
Nice.
Because there's a certain distorted security in familiar pain. You don't have to live in that pain no more. You don't have to die in that pain anymore. There's so many different avenues for you to be free.
That's right.
You can free yourself. Mr. Cologne heard me say this one time at Crossroads. Recovery is the only thing that will allow you to break out of prison and don't get arrested for it.
Yeah. That's
Get
right.
out of this self-inflicted prison that you're in and free yourself.
Being part of the solution, no
Yes.
longer the
That's right.
problem.
That's
Yes.
right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
I want to just take a short time and just say when the pastor spoke of chow hall, we speaking about going to the mess hall to eat lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Cafeteria. That's the
That's what chow
cafeteria.
hall is. You know, that's what the chow hall
I had a
is.
flashback then.
Yeah, no. And another thing I would like to just share, you know, when listening to you and giving this testimony that I feel, you know, was really inspiring to me and for me in my life is the genuineness. And I think that whenever I hear anyone that speak about what you spoke about today, I think summed it all up for me with the humility. Humility is everything, and I just feel the humility throughout your entire testimony today. It was my pleasure, it's my honor meeting you and now knowing you.
Yes.
I grew up with Anthony. Me
Yeah.
and him grew up in the Bronx together, you know, and you know, anybody that he brings me to in his life today, you know, it's nothing but positivity, and the energy is just exuberates in my heart and my soul. So, Pastor, I want to thank you for your time today with us.
Yes. It's been an honor when they called me, and there wasn't even no pull. You know, God put people in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
That's right.
And many people miss those moments because when it's for a reason, it's to show you you. When it's for a season, it's for you to learn a lesson. And from the very first moment Gerard introduced me to Anthony, I felt his heart, I felt his sincerity, and he had already heard about me before I met him. So it was just easy to connect with him.
Absolutely.
Do we chop it up on the phone all of the time? No. Do we run into each other all the time? No. But when he called, was no hesitation, because spirits connect with spirits.
Absolutely.
And he has a genuine spirit, and anything that I can do. I done did 3 whole sessions today. I'm really exhausted.
Yeah.
But when it comes to doing something that can penetrate the hearts of your listening audience, I didn't hesitate.
No question.
I'm extremely humbled and honored, like, to be honest with you. This is just, listen, if I had a choice, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be doing this. Right? I tell people the truth is, listen, I don't do work. I don't work. I live my purpose. My business is not a business for me. It's my purpose in life. Right? Like, God, for whatever reason, I'm not questioning it because I know He's blessing me. What my residents have taught me how to be humble, how to be compassionate, how to be understanding, how to be sympathetic, right? Things that I've never been taught before. Is it challenging? Yes. When I go to meetings, some days I don't want to go to meetings, but every time I do go to a meeting, I hear exactly what I need to hear, right? And it keeps me grounded. And like I said, for me, it's period to surround myself with people who uplift me, motivate me, and inspire me. I know how to do all the messed up stuff. I know how to do drugs and how to sell drugs and to rob people. I know how to do all that. I need to surround myself with people that when they see me kind of like, they go, whoa, Anthony. That when I come tell them something, they're going to listen to me tentatively and give me positive feedback and not co-sign my stuff. And that's how I choose my friends and who I surround myself with. I try people all the time. All right, I guess I'll come and I'll say, yo, man, I'm thinking about going. And if I get a person, I'll be like, man, you ain't no good friend, man. Stop playing. I ain't got no problem calling you out and your stuff. Right? Because again, what can you do for me if you wouldn't have let me go ahead and risk everything that I got going on in my life, right? My freedom, my family, my kids and resident, because you think what I just told you was a good idea, you're not a good friend. I got to disconnect from you. Not to say you're a bad person. You're just not good for me in my life.
There you go.
That's all. And I accept that. So with that being said, I'm out of time for Pastor May. You said a lot of titles earlier. I know in South Florida, you're doing a lot of good as well. Let people know how they can get in touch with you again, especially for the halfway houses, the church, where it's located, and everything that you're doing. So that way, we can put it out there.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's yours.
As I quoted in the beginning, and I'm the senior pastor of the New Faith Christian Fellowship, which is located at 3951 North Halford Hill Road in the city of West Palm Beach. Our service times are Monday night intercessory prayer from 7:15 to 7:30 to 8:30. Our Thursday night 1 hour power we call Word Explosion, big $2 word for Bible study, from 7:30 to 8:30. And yeah,
nice.
You got different like strategies.
That. That's right.
And then our Sunday morning worship is every Sunday morning at 12 noon. As far as the facilities, we're located in 2 locations. 1008 Palm Beach Lakes and 1015 11th Street, for men who are struggling with not just substance abuse, alcoholism, mental health, just any life-challenging issues that causes you to be homeless. You can reach me on all of my social media platforms at C.W. Mays, on Facebook, Instagram, on Twitter. I wrote them down. On Twitter at Pastor Cedric Mays, and at Snapchat at it's on. There you go. I can't remember them all. Pastor Cedric Mays, and on TikTok it's at Pastor Cedric. My phone number is 561-255-2585, and my email address is Rev, REVCWMAYS @gmail.com. I want to thank these awesome brothers here for inviting me. This has been a blessing. This is my date night, so I normally get off from work and go home and get myself prepared to surprise my wife every weekend with something.
Yeah, see, she all dressed already.
Yeah,
she ready. She like, where you at? Where you at?
We apologize for taking the husband away.
Yes,
We
please.
apologize.
Thank you.
This is Success After Lockdown, first time in Florida, so it's an honor to meet your husband.
And I'm just so honored to be a part of this. Anything that I can do, my brothers, please, I'm just a phone call or email away. I want to see this grow, and I want to speak blessings upon it, that the Bible says, he that humbles himself shall be exalted, but he that exalts himself shall be brought back down. And the humility that I feel in this room, I'm speaking blessings that in the next 6 months, God is going to open a door where this will go globally. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you.
Man. There you have it. I want to say thank you to all our viewers, listeners out there. There's been an explosive episode here with the Pastor C.W. Mays. Has blessed us and graced us with his presence, his story, his testimony. Somebody out there, I'm sure you heard something and a light registered. Again, thank you for everybody that's been following us in season 1, 2, now season 3. We've been honored and privileged to continue to do what we do, to just break the stigma that formerly incarcerated men and women cannot change their lives. That is a lie. We can, we do, we are, and we will. Given the right tools and the right path, we can be successful in all areas of our life. You just have the power to make that choice. All right, so make the right choice. Again, you can continue to follow us on YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, all social media platforms.
Instagram, TikTok. Yeah, we on TikTok too.
Amen.
That's right.
Facebook, and anybody out there, if you want to be on the show, if you got a good story, please do not hesitate. Or if you know someone that has a good story, that's doing something positive, giving back, who's staying out of prison and doing the right thing in life, please send us an email at successafterlockdown@gmail.com. And with that being said, thank you, my brothers, my sisters. Stay up. God bless. Stay positive. Stay focused. It costs you nothing. Remember, it costs you nothing to be kind. It costs you more to be mean, ignorant, and angry at somebody else. The only one that gets hurt is you. God bless.
From BX to Florida. Peace and blessings.
All day.